Optimism is not a character trait of evil people. It's something that's innate in all of us. In fact, it's so deeply entrenched in human psychology that we are willing to divide ourselves into groups for ridiculous reasons and favor our own group members over other group members. Let me explain with a research study. Henri Tajfel, a social psychologist, conducted a series of experiments in Bristol City in the 1970s. A group of about 50 14 to 15-year-old schoolboys were shown two paintings and asked to decide which of the two they liked. They were told that one painting was by artist Paul Klee and the other by artist Vasily Kandinsky. Based on their preference of painting, either Klee or Kandinsky, they were assigned to either the Klee group or the Kandinsky group. The grouping was actually random and not based on their preference, but the boys did not know that. At a later stage of the experiment, the boys had to go through a reward allocation task. Each boy was asked to award points to two other boys, one from his group and one from the other group. The group was clearly specified in the points allotment form. The boys distinctly favored their own groups and allotted more points to boys from their own groups than to others. The boys hardly knew each other, so there was no shared history or tradition, no competition for the same resources, no rationale at all for discriminating, and yet they did. These types of groups based on random or arbitrary classifications are called minimal groups. And if you think the results of this experiment are surprising, hold on. Minimalism experiment results can get even more ridiculous and shocking. Tajfel conducted a similar experiment by asking study subjects to flip a coin. They were then assigned to a heads group or tails group based on the result of this coin toss. I'm sure you can guess where this is going. These groups, based on nothing more than a coin toss result, still gave the same results. People still identified with their own groups and discriminated when assigning rewards to other group members versus their own group members. So we don't really need a meaningful reason. We just like to divide ourselves into groups based on anything and everything. Then we instinctively favor the groups we belong to and discriminate against the others. The findings of these minimalist group studies have been replicated many times and with many variants and by other researchers too. They clearly and repeatedly reveal that even under objectively meaningless categorizations, in-group favoritism and out-group derogation happen routinely. Us versus them is very deeply entrenched within us. Studies show that infants less than a year old prefer people who look like them and stare longer at such faces than faces of people who look different. Given this innate propensity to divide ourselves into groups and favor our own groups and discriminate against other groups, this discomfort and hostility to people who are from a different ethnicity, race, religion, etc. is to be expected. When we can discriminate based on a coin toss result, nothing should be surprising. Why is us versus them so innate to human nature? Again, this goes back to our history as humans. For more than 95% of our evolutionary history, we lived as Paleolithic hunter-gatherers. We belonged to fairly small groups or tribes, and we knew everyone in the tribe, and they all looked and behaved like us. Now, if we encountered a stranger in the Paleolithic, that stranger could actually be dangerous to us in two main ways. First, the stranger could intend us real harm. Strangers typically belong to neighboring tribes, and neighboring tribes often attacked each other for territory or resources. The winning tribe would kill all the men, children, and older women of the losing tribe and kidnap the young women to take back to their own tribe. So it was literally kill or be killed. Second, other tribes lived in different regions and were cut off from each other by rivers or mountains. So, other tribe members could carry new and alien pathogens, which your tribe had no immunity to. These new pathogens could infect you, make you very ill, or even kill you. Remember, there were no hospitals or antibiotics. So, someone who looked different from you, a stranger, could actually be dangerous to you for most of human history. But in today's world, these Paleolithic instincts and predispositions make no sense and may in fact cause a lot of harm. Our world today is completely different from the Paleolithic. We live with several ethnicities in large cities. We travel all over the globe. Other ethnicities are not neighboring tribes attacking us to kill all our men and children and steal our women. They are normal people like you and me. Also, we are not totally cut off from any ethnicity, so there is not much danger for alien pathogens. We have modern medical care to take care of illnesses and infections. But our brain still has these outdated instincts hardwired into us because that's how we live for most of human history. Our system 1 does this categorization of us versus them within microseconds. MRI scans reveal this clearly, and it happens in the brain's prefrontal cortex. That cartoon beautifully represents the psychology of us versus them. When it is our own group, it is our blessed homeland, our glorious leader, our great religion, and our noble populace. But for the other group, it is their barbaric ways, their wicked despot, their primitive superstitions, and their backward savages. If we had been born a few hundred or thousand kilometers to the north, south, east, or west, our grouping may very well have been reversed. You would have often heard the terms xenophobia and ethnocentrism. Xenophobia is the fear and hatred of anyone who is different from you, strangers, foreigners, immigrants, etc. Ethnocentrism is the judging of all other cultures or ethnicities relative to your own culture standards, with the implicit understanding that your own cultural practices and standards are the best. But all ethnicities feel that way.